Hello and welcome back to my channel. And before starting our video in international relations of PT365, I would first like to pay my due respect towards the Operation Sindoor and our Indian Army, who have been fighting valiantly and with utmost bravery in order to strengthen our security, in order to strengthen our frontiers. And as citizens, we must remember that it is all because of the army that we are currently in a better state. Like, it is all because of their duty or their being so dutiful that we are staying so peacefully in the mainland. Uh, Also, this war of terrorism was not started by the Indian Army, but we have been facing this for quite some time and we have lost many innocent lives to this menace of terrorism and it needs to stop. So I would request everybody, as fellow Indians, as compatriots, we must support Indian Army, we must support the government in this state of war. We are actually in a state of war and we must acknowledge it. You might have seen that in most of the interior states, which are not close to the border, people even feel people even didn't felt like that we are at war. It is all because of the army. It is all because of the technology they're using. It is all because of their efforts. So the least they're asking for from us is some kind of moral support, and we ought to give it to them. This is what will actually strengthen our community or actually strengthen us as the citizens of India. So be very sure, don't fall into prey into any such fake news. Stick to the government sources. Only rely on the actual and authentic information from the Indian Army, from the government sources. Don't fall prey into any fake news. Don't fall into prey of the humanitarian crisis or some stuff like that because this war is not against any country or nation. This war is against terrorism, and anyone who actually supports that is a real perpetrator and we ought to take action against them. If not now, then we will fall prey into things you could not even imagine. So just be with the Indian Army, have unity among yourselves, be good to your compatriots, and follow all the instructions, whatever the government is, uh, like whatever the government says. So, anyways, let's move forward with our discussion on the international relations PT365. So, So let's start with the multilateral organizations. First one is the UN General Assembly. In the UN General Assembly, first the news was that they have actually allowed Palestine as qualified in order to join the United Nations, so that it could submit its application. And it does not actually guarantee or it does not grant Palestinians full membership, but it recognizes that it is qualified to join the UN. So the process for admission is like you have to accept the UN Charter and commitments and submit an application to the Secretary General. There are five permanent members. These should uh, not vote against your recommendation. The five members are China, France, Russia, UK, and the US. You should get 9 out of the 15 affirmative votes of the Security Council, and two-thirds majority votes should be in your favor in order to get recommended by the Security Council. So an overview about the UN General Assembly. It was founded in 1945. Each member has one vote. You need a two-thirds majority in order to get a resolution approved. Then the presidency basically rotates between five geographical groups. It passes resolutions which are basically non-binding. Then it elects members, the non-permanent members of the Security Council. It approves a budget for the UN budget and discusses global issues. It engages in dialogue and provides recommendations on the worldwide challenges. I hope these multilateral organizations come towards the aid of India and they actually recognize the true nature of terrorism, which is imbibed deeper into the Pakistani ideology. Anyways, then there was the UN adopts Pact for Future, which was in news. It was for regulating AI, digital tech, secure environment for future generations. It's sustainable development. Then there was a declaration on future generation. which which basically aims at promoting the intergenerational equity, protecting the environment. Then some of the countries actually were elected as non-permanent members of the UNSC for 2-year terms. These were Denmark, Greece, the Great Pakistan, not so great, but yeah, then Panama and Somalia. So Denmark, Greece, Pakistan, Panama, and Somalia. These were to serve as non-permanent members of the UNSC for the next 2 years. So the UNSC UN Security Council is basically the prime responsibility of it is to maintain international peace and security. It has 5 permanent members, which are the P5 nations: China, France, UK, US, and Russia. They enjoy a veto power. Then there are 10 non-permanent members elected for a 2-year term through secret ballot. The 5 geographical regions are Africa, Asia, Latin America, Western Europe, and Eastern Europe. The UNSC has the power to make binding decisions. Because of these binding decisions, the member state must implement it. Under the UN Charter, India has already been elected for the non-permanent seat of the UNSC for 8 times. The recent being 2021 to 2022 term. Then there is a common pledge initiative, which was basically in order to engage more women in the peace process in this critical decision making related to peace. It involves appointing women as lead mediators. The common pledge initiative is of the UNSC. Then the UN peacekeepers. So this was in news because the India-led group of friends has launched a new database which is designed to record crimes against the peacekeepers and monitor progress in holding perpetrators accountable. The group of friends was launched by India in 2022. It was done in order to promote accountability for crimes against the blue helmets. Blue helmets are basically a term in order to signify the UN peacekeepers because they wear a peculiar blue helmet. So peacekeepers can be termed as the UN armed forces. These are basically deployed or employed in order to maintain or establish peace in an area. So like transitioning an area from a conflict region to a peaceful region. So these were started in 1948 with the UN military observers in West Asia for the Armistice Agreement. They wear a distinctive blue helmet. The UNSC basically determines the deployment by adopting a resolution. Also, each member state is legally obligated to pay for their respective share in order to keep the peacekeeping forces. Department of Peace Operations of the UN provides the political executive direction. UNPK has notably received the Nobel Prize, Peace Prize in 1988. India is one of the major contributors to the UN peacekeeping forces, and it is the first country to sign an all-women unit under the UNPK in Liberia. Then some other developments related to the UN. So we have UNSCAP, which is United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia. It has released a report which is called the Economic and Social Survey of Asia and Pacific. So UNSCAP basically for the Economic and Social Commission for Asia and Pacific. Then the United Nations Trade and Development, which was earlier called the UNCTAD, United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. So recently it was in news because of the 60th anniversary of it, and one of the key achievements of the UNCTAD, or now the UNTAD, is the debt management and financial analysis system. So this can be remembered. The DMFA system is for the UNCTAD. Like one-liners. Then the Global Supply Chain Forum. So what would it do? It would just basically enhance the supply chain. It would address the disruptions to supply chain. It would actually uh, be more open to clean economy, low carbon emissions. That's what it does. And it's strengthening the focus area is strengthening supply chain resilience, particularly to the SIDS, small island developing states. Then the G4 nations. These are the nations which are basically trying which are basically demanding more reforms in the UNSC. They are also demanding a permanent membership. So these are the nations of Brazil, Germany, India, and Japan. These are the G4 nations. They want permanent seat in the UNSC. They want urgent reform of the United Nations Security Council through text-based negotiations. So increasing the UNSC membership, to 25 to 26 with 6 permanent members. Right now we have just 5 permanent members, so these are aiming for 6 permanent members as well as 4 to 5 non-permanent members addition. So every good thing has certain opposition to it. So there's this uniting for consensus for the coffee club, and it basically has the members who don't want or who are opposing the G4 nations, and you guessed it right. Uh, Pakistan is one of the members because we oppose India definitely because it doesn't want India to prosper. So G4 nations has Pakistan as well, and considering the situation right now, I would urge everybody to please uh, like unite and just listen to whatever the armed forces are saying. I'm reiterating it again and again. Please don't fall prey to whatever the agenda or whatever the fake scenarios they create. Don't fall prey into fake news. Don't fall prey into the cybersecurity attacks. I'm really sorry if some of my words seem to be a little diverted towards this war issue, but right now the situation is so tense, and everybody right in front of me, or maybe in my utmost proximity, is just listening about the war news. Everybody's on their phones, everybody on the television, just switching over channels, seeing what else is going on. So it's kind of a very messy situation right now. So bear with me. Anyways, I'll try to be more focused towards completing our agenda for today. That is to complete the PT365 for IR in one go, this very document. Then we will have that updated version also. So, the International Criminal Court, basically, one line is that it has binding um decisions, like it can arrest. It has the binding arrest warrant over the crimes. So recently it was in news because the ICC prosecutor sought arrest warrant for Israel's PM and Hamas leader for crimes against humanity and war crimes. So there's also a news in March 2023 where ICC issued an arrest warrant against Russia's President Putin over the Ukraine issue. So member states must comply. This is the rule for International Criminal Court. So it is the first permanent international court to prosecute serious international crimes. It was adopted by the Rome Statute, adopted in 1998, enforced in 2002. It basically is concerned with this genocide, crimes against humanity, war crimes, crimes of aggression. India, Israel, US, Russia, and China are not the members. The ICC decisions are binding, as I told you. Members need to comply. They must comply. The International Criminal Court. So we also have the International Court for the ICJ, the International Court for Jurisdiction. So I hope I have read International Court for Justice. Yeah, not jurisdiction. International uh, Court for Justice, I guess. Yeah. So anyways, the ICC is established by the Rome Statute, whereas this one is established by the UN Charter of 1945. And the headquarters of ICC are in Hague, Netherlands, where so for ICJ it is in Peace Palace. So the speciality is that ICC holds only individuals criminally responsible for offences, whereas in ICJ we have contentious cases as well as the advisory proceedings. So here we are more concerned with the criminal cases, criminal offences. So then moving on to the international multi-party or multilateral organizations. So the BRICS, which basically stands for Brazil, India, Russia, China, and South Africa. So this was basically coined by the British economist Jim O'Neill in 2001. Then the 5 original members, South Africa joined in 2010. Then there are new additions. The new members have joined, which are Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran. UAE, and Indonesia. So Indonesia is the one from uh, Southeast Asia. Then, uh, then the BRICS initiative, the very famous is the New Development Bank in Shanghai. It was like the genesis is from the Fortaleza, Brazil summit in 2014. Then the contingent reserve arrangement of the BRICS. It provides essential short-term liquidity support to member nations accounting balance of payment chain challenges. So the contingent reserve agreement of BRICS. This can be asked. Anyways, there have been remote sensing satellite constellations, also BRICS grain exchange, Russian led, as we all know, Russia, Ukraine, these are the regions where commercial farming, commercial grain farming is a major activity. Like it's a major economic activity. So Russian led initiative creating a fair and equitable trading system for agricultural products. Then we have remote sensing satellite and BRICS cross-border pays initiative for BRICS Pay in order to address the vacuum of the SWIFT messaging system because Russia was like suspended from SWIFT. So this BRICS Pay is a blockchain-based payment service for settlements offering an alternative to SWIFT for the BRICS nations. Moving towards the Asian countries, so Asian credit to Shivan sir for providing the mnemonic. So I'm just using whatever he's provided. MBBS, cricket, IPL, TV. So there are 10 members. MBBS for Malaysia, B for Brunei, B for Burma. Burma is the primitive name for Myanmar. Then S for Singapore, C for Cambodia. And then there is Indonesia, Philippines, Laos, Thailand, and Vietnam. So we have 10 members. Genesis is from the Bangkok Declaration of 1967. There's another Bangkok Declaration, but this is Bangkok Declaration of 1967. The headquarters are in Jakarta, Indonesia. There was a Delhi Dialogue. It's an annual track 1.5 forum for discussing issues between the ASEAN and India. So India is not a member of ASEAN. The ASEAN has dialogue partners which are the most prominent of them are Australia, Canada, China, India, EU, Japan. We also have Russia, UK, US, New Zealand, uh, Republic of Korea, which is South Korea. So the key Asian institutions are the ASEAN initiatives. First of them is the ASEAN Regional Forum, where India is also a member. It's a regional forum. So India uh, is not a member, but it actually communicates with ASEAN with some kind of meets, bilateral meets. Then Asian Future Forum proposed by Vietnam. It recommends policy like new ideas and policy recommendations. India is a founding member for the ASEAN Future Forum. Then we also have ASEAN Solidarity Exercise as well as ASEAN India Maritime Exercise. India became a dialogue partner in 1996. Then there was an East Asia summit where our Honorable Prime Minister attended it in Jakarta, uh, in Indonesia. So it was 19th East Asia Summit. The East Asia Summit was established in Malaysia. Leaders led for like it's a leader-led forum for dialogue and on strategic, political, and economic issues. The members are ASEAN plus Australia, China, India, Japan, New Zealand, South Korea, Russia. So they actually cooperate on Asian connectivity, environment, education, finance, and all sorts of those issues. Then there is ASEAN India Trade in Goods Agreement. So India basically has a trade deficit with ASEAN, and we now have an agreement with it in order to deepen our economic ties with these ASEAN countries. So mostly you might have seen palm oil. This is a major export of some of the Asian countries, and we are at a trade deficit with them. So the South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, or the SARC, the RBI has announced SARC currency swap framework for 2024 to 2027. The currency swap. So currency swap is basically a contract under which two parties have agreed to it, exchange their currencies at a prefixed rate or a set rate, and then they re-exchange those currencies at that fixed rate only, at a fixed time period or a fixed date in future. So the currency swap is like if India and there's a country named M. So if India and M are like parties for this currency swap agreement, then India and that will have a fixed set rate or a fixed rate at which they would re-exchange those currencies upon that rate at a fixed date in future. So other significant countries of agreements, the BRICS contingent reserve agreement, as we said, that it was for short-term liquidity for uh, balance of payment issues. Then India Japan bilateral currency swap agreement is also there. We have India UAE CSA, India China CSA. Sorry, India Sri Lanka, not China. India Sri Lanka and India UAE. So the countries in SARC, another mnemonic taken from Dr. Shivan, that is MBBS Spain, M for Maldives, then Bangladesh, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Afghanistan, India, and Nepal. So here we also have Maldives. So you could see these are just India's neighbors. India, then we have towards the northwest Pakistan and Afghanistan. Then towards like as we go right, we have Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh. Then towards our south we have Sri Lanka, and then towards the southeast. So sorry, towards the southwest we have Maldives. Maldives. So these are the members. The secretariat is in Nepal, Kathmandu, Nepal. One of the key initiatives are like decisions are taken on the basis of the unanimity. Bilateral and contentious issues are excluded from its deliberation. There is a South Asian Free Trade Agreement called SAFTA, SARC Food Bank, SARC Agreement on Trade in Services, SATIS, and India launched the South Asia Satellite GSAT in 2019. SARC has been largely dysfunctional since 2016 after the horrendous Uri attacks by Pakistan. Anyways, then we have BIMSTEC. So BIMSTEC also, there's a mnemonic BIMSTEC, भूलना नहीं, भूलना like BH stands for Bhutan, nahi for Nepal. Over here, BIMSTEC भूलना नहीं. So we have Bangladesh, India, Myanmar, Sri Lanka, Thailand. These ENC are redundant. Anyways, we have Bhutan and Nepal. So these are the countries. And BIMSTEC has actually required a legal personality after the BIMSTEC Charter comes into force uh, with the endorsement of the Charter by Nepal. All member states completed the ratification of the foundational document, and Charter came into force in 2024. So the BIMSTEC Charter was signed and adopted, and it has now come into force. So it's basically a foundational document which outlines the goals, principles, structure of the BIMSTEC. So just the foundational idea of it would work. Anyways, so as BIMSTEC is multi-sectoral, technical and economic cooperation, so it would be related to the economies as well. So we have 7 focus areas. We have environment and climate change, security. Security is utmost in this region. Agriculture, food security, people to people contact, science, tech, innovation, and connectivity. There is BIMSTEC disaster management exercise, which is known as BMX. So we have also seen that there was an Asian Indian exercise, and now we have the BIMSTEC disaster management exercise. Then coming towards Quad, the members are Australia, Japan, India, and the USA. Sometimes people say that it is made in order to counter the forces of malevolent forces of China. So all four of them actually perform the Malabar exercise, which is a naval exercise. But contrary to the claims of people that it is done in order to like counter the violent forces, it is not a military alliance. Then this was actually adopted. The Quad Leader Summit has actually adopted the Wilmington Declaration. The key announcements in this Wilmington Declaration was that a Quad Cancer Moonshot Partnership to combat cervical cancer. So they're having many news about cervical cancer and the Cervivac or the cervical cancer vaccines. So do give it a look. Then there is METRI, the Maritime Initiative for Training in the Indo-Pacific. There is Quad at Sea Ship Observer Mission. India will host a 2025 Quad Leaders Summit. And then there have been aims in order to strengthen the joint cooperation between Quad's four members to promote free, open, inclusive, resilient, and healthy Indo-Pacific. And then there is the six-leader working group. We must remember all the keywords, which are this Q champ is related to Quad, the Quad climate change adaptation and mitigation package. You must really appreciate it that they make all these mnemonics, all these acronyms with so accuracy and these are apt and up to the point. Then they also have the semiconductor supply chain initiative. So the semiconductors or those rare earth metals are basically in the like claws of China. So they're just having this semiconductor supply chain initiative in order to counter it, to diversify the technology supply chains. And then they also have maritime initiatives. As we've read, there is Malabar exercise for the navies between all four members. Then there's Quad security dialogue. And the objective is to for free, open, and inclusive Indo-Pacific. Then the US institutionalized and launched the Squad in 2024. So in Squad, there is Philippines instead of India. So in this Squad organization, India is not there. It's the UK, US, Australia, Philippines, and Japan. It is done in order to deepen integration in the Indo-Pacific to counter China's militarization in the South China Sea. So we have Philippines over here. Then AUKUS, Australia, UK, US. AUKUS is not a formal military alliance like the NATO. NATO is the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. So unlike NATO, AUKUS is not a formal military alliance. It has these people have a legally binding tripartite agreement to share critical technology known as the Exchange of Naval Nuclear Propulsion Information Agreement NPA. So, like ENNPIA signed in 2021. So this is done in order to facilitate the sharing of critical technology. So US and UK are also helping Australia acquire nuclear power submarine. So there have been focus on cyber capabilities, artificial intelligence, military capabilities, all sort of that. Then India Pacific Economic Framework for Prosperity, IPEF, Indo-Pacific, not India Pacific, Indo-Pacific. But recently India has signed an exchange first of its kind agreement under IPEF. So what we need to remember is that IPF Catalytic Capital Fund and this IPF accelerated to integrate Indian companies to global value chains. Then there is also an IPF upskilling initiative Like it provides digital skills training primarily to women and girls in the emerging economies. The upskill skill initiative is for the women and girls in the emerging economies. Then there is critical mineral dialogue work program, the supply chain arrangement agreement. India has been elected vice chair of the IPEF Supply Chain Council. And there are some other council as well, Supply Chain Council, Labor Rights Advisory Board. Then the India Middle East Europe Economic Corridor announcing the G20 in New Delhi in 2023. So it is done in order to uh, have more global connectivity, connecting India with the Middle East and Middle East to the Europe. So it's like more of enhancing the economic activity in these areas. So as I told you, 2023 G20 summit in India. It is considered as a part of PGII, which is an initiative for Partnership for Global Infrastructure and Investment. It is said that it is an initiative in order to counter the Belt Road Initiative of China. So it consists of railroad, ship-to-rail network, and road transport routes. So we could see over here, these are the major things, like the major ports from Mumbai. We would enter Jebel Ali of UAE, then Al Guwaifat of UAE, then Herat, Riyadh, Al Haditha, Haifa of Israel, and Pius. Because of the October 2023 uh, attacks of the Hamas in Israel and the further developments in this area, this is right now there have been no major developments with respect to the IMEC. So the member countries are, as we see, India, UAE, Saudi Arabia. So from West Asia, there are UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Israel. Israel is not a member. Okay, my bad. India, European Union, France, Germany, Italy. These are from the Europe side. Then Saudi Arabia and US from the West Asia, and we have USA, the United States. So this lines, these small lines are the sea dots. Then these are the railway routes, and then another sea routes. So the Shanghai Cooperation Organization or the SCO. So this is something I copied from the internet. So we have PIBKey truck. So P for Pakistan. Then we have Iran, Belarus, Kazakhstan, India, Russia, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, China, and Kyrgyzstan. So there's just one Tan which is not there, which is Afghanistan. The rest we have all the Tans. It should be called Tansin, but anyways, just forget it. It's one of my bad jokes. Anyways, going to SEO, there was a recent summit, the 24th summit of the head of the states, Council of the Head of States of the SCO, held in Astana city of Kazakhstan. Belarus has become a recent addition to the SCO. It has become the 10th member. So there is a cooperation program in order to counter terrorism. So India and Pakistan both are there, and the objective of SCO is to counter terrorism with India, Pakistan, and China all involved. And yet you could see the situation over here. So we have to counter terrorism, separatism, extremism, anti-drug strategy, SEO development strategy until 2035. The headquarters are in Beijing, China. In 2015, uh, Russia, the SCO decided to admit India and Pakistan as full-time members. So India and Pakistan have joined in 2015. And the recent addition is Belarus. Before that, Iran also uh, was added. There is regional anti-terrorism structure called the RATS. These situations are mostly these multilateral groups should now come to the forefront in order to aid India in order to actually facilitate their cooperation towards India and confront Pakistan of all the dirty politics, all the dirty extremist terrorism which it is propagating in that region. My heart goes out to all the Pakistanis because the kind of government or the kind of leadership which they have, the kind of moral ideologies which have been spread in those areas, it is very dehumanizing and very detrimental for their future, very detrimental for their uh, present itself. Anyways, the observer states are Afghanistan and Mongolia. So, although these are not members, these are observers, Afghanistan and Mongolia. Then the RATS is based in Tashkent, Uzbekistan. Kashi or Varanasi has been declared as the first tourism and cultural capital of the SCO. Then we have a group of seven or the G7, which basically the countries can be remembered by Jews with girlfriend if you have one. Otherwise, you could decipher whatever. The countries are Japan, Italy, USA, Canada. E stands for basically England, which is the UK. Then Germany and France. So the Japan, Italy, USA, Canada, UK, Germany, and France. So India participated in the 50th Group of Seven or G7 meeting in Apulia, Italy, where India was invited as an outreach country. So this G7 group was basically formulated following the 1973 energy crisis. Russia was also a former member, but after the annexation of Crimea, Russia was excluded in 2014. The EU is not a member of G7. So all the major countries, Italy, uh, the UK, Germany, France are members, but EU is not a member. The G7 actually lacks a permanent structure. Its rotating presidency sets the agenda annually. Then this Partner for Global Infrastructure and Investment, the PGII, which basically also the IMEC, the Indian Middle East Economic Corridor, which is also associated with the PGII, which is the Partnership for Global Infrastructure and Investment, is an initiative of the G7. It was launched in 2022 to fund infrastructure projects in developing nations. Then there is Energy for Growth in Africa initiative, a G7-led effort to facilitate access to external investment for clean energy projects in Africa. So there have been some other initiatives as well. The Apulia food system, the Apulia where this recent summit was held, Apulia from Italy. Then the non-alignment movement. The non-alignment movement calls for Cuba's removal from the unilateral terrorism list of the US. So the USA's unilateral list of state sponsors of terrorism comprises countries that allegedly sponsor international terrorism, just like our dear neighbor. The countries in such a list face unilateral economic, commercial, and face coercive measures by the USA. North Korea, Iran, and Syria, these are the members, in addition to Cuba. So, the non-alignment movement is basically calling for Cuba's removal from the unilateral sanctions, so basically the unilateral terrorism list of the US. This list basically comprises of North Korea, Iran, and Syria. The NAM's stand favoring Cuba highlights its importance in the global South countries. So NAM traces its roots from the Bangadel uh, Conference of 1955. So this was formally established in Belgrade of Serbia. The policy which it follows is that the members pledge to avoid formal alignment with major power blocs. Like they are not choosing sides; they are in the gray area. Moving towards the Commonwealth, uh, commemorating the London Declaration of 1949. So this was because of the formation of the Commonwealth. This is the genesis for the formation of the Commonwealth. So India's relation is that it is the largest member. India represents nearly 60% of the Commonwealth's total population, and we are the fourth largest contributor to the Commonwealth. The Commonwealth Games, you might remember in 2010. Those were the days, yeah. Those were really cute days. So fun loving. Anyways, the Commonwealth Sum Windows established under the India UN Development Fund with 50 million over 5 years. Huge. So what we need to remember is that the Commonwealth basically the members are basically the mainly former British colonies, just like us. The members are mostly the former British colonies. So if you have like come across the Netflix series Crown, you would definitely see there was a meeting about Commonwealth. There was some kind of discussion about this conference in the first season where the king who was sick or who was suffering from cancer was trying to have a conversation with Elizabeth and telling her that these are the things which he does. And there was also Philip, or I don't remember it very clearly. There's just some vague scene I remember from the series Crown, which I saw last year. It was good. Like I just saw 2 3 episodes, not more than that. Yeah, the problem of less attention span. Anyways, working on it. So most of the countries in the clubs are republic except Barbados, which was the last to remove the UK monarch as its head of the state in 2021. So Barbados is now also a republic. It was the last one to remove the UK monarch as the head of the state. So now all of them are republics. So the major initiatives are the 1991 Harare Commonwealth Declaration, and there is ending the apartheid in South Africa. It is the only intergovernmental organization to have a dedicated youth program. So Commonwealth Youth Program is the only international government organization to have a dedicated youth program. There's Cyber Declaration, Countering Violent Extremist Unit. Then there is Commonwealth Local Government Fund in order to facilitate the local governments. So it has dedicated to support women's full and active participation in public life, aligning with SDG 5, SDG Sustainable Development Goals number 5, achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls. So the Girls Cooperation Council, this is the mnemonic which I made, which is QBox. This is why I remember it more clearly now. So the member countries are Qatar, UAE, Bahrain, Oman, Kuwait, and Saudi Arabia. The headquarters are in Riyadh. So these are the 6 Gulf countries which are the members. So there was first India GC political dialogue which was held in the year 2003. Currently, India maintains a strategic partnership with Saudi Arabia, UAE, and Oman. India basically has a trade deficit with these GCC countries because of the oil imports which we have to do. These are the major Gulf countries which are oil exporting. They have higher petroleum reserves. So they're having major initiatives in India in order to facilitate the production of biofuels, in order to like reduce our dependency on these countries. Then they also are major contributors to our diaspora and the remittances which the diaspora sends. Over two-thirds of the RRI population resides in the GCC countries. So like you might have heard people saying that Gulf ja raha hu. These are the countries. Also, if you have seen that movie, Airlift, it was in 2015, starring Akshay Kumar. That was also regarding this region only. Airlift. It showed the Gulf countries. I don't remember the actual country. It was Kuwait, I think. Yeah, it was Kuwait where they uh, airlifted people. So then GCC countries share 30% of the India's total remittances in 2021, 2020 to 2021. This is huge. Then we have they contribute around 30%, 35% of the India's oil imports, 70% of the India's gas imports. Then comes the NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization. the contentious issue which led to the war between Ukraine and Russia. One of the issues between them. So the country of Sweden, has basically joined NATO as its 32nd member. So Sweden and Finland are the new additions. Sweden joined in 2024, whereas Finland in 2023. One of the major significance of this institution is that they consider a war on one ally as an attack against all the allies. So this is like collective dealings with the enemies. So war against one, even if you wage a war against one, then you have to face the brunt of all the allies. It provides a transatlantic link between Europe and North America. The contributions from all the members are based on their gross national incomes. Major non-NATO ally status is provided. Under US law, it provides foreign partners with certain benefits in the areas of defense, trade, and security cooperation. India, notably, is not a member of this major non-NATO allies. The NATO plus five are Australia, New Zealand, South Korea, Japan, and Israel. With the Geneva Convention are basically dealing with the prisoners of war, the civilians during war, and it's a cornerstone of international humanitarian law. The international humanitarian law, also known as the law of war or the law of armed conflicts, it basically deals with civilians, prisoners of war, and the wounded. It protects them, the people who are not or no longer participating in the hostilities. Four major treaties within the Geneva Convention, all based on like protect wounded and sick soldiers on land, safeguards wounded, sick, and shipwrecked military personnel at sea, ensure humane treatment and right for the prisoners of war. Like if you might have seen in 2019 when there was Pulwama attack and our wing commander Abhinandan was caught by the Pakistani forces, there were talks about this Geneva Convention about Pakistan had to eventually release Abhinandan. So we Indians are also a signatory of the Geneva Convention. We have ratified it. There's a Protocol 3 in 2005 introduced the red crystals as an additional emblem for the humanitarian organizations. India has ratified all four Geneva Conventions of 1949. Then the Rome Statute for the International Criminal Court, which we read, which has binding decrees and the members must comply with it. It was established because of this Rome Statute. So these are like the other treaties related to the international humanitarian law. Humanitarian basically is trying to humanize people, it's trying to showcase people that those who are wounded, those who are citizens, those who are civilians, the wounded soldiers, the prisoners of war, these are not the persons who are actually now participating in the hostilities. So you must like limit the effects of the armed conflict for the humanitarian reasons. You must limit yourself. It's like showcasing restraint and trying to be more human, not just being human, also showcasing that you are human. So C10 and L16 countries. The C10 countries are basically a committee of 10 African ministers of finance and central bank governors. So the African central bank governors and finance ministers. L69 developing countries to push for UN Security Council reform. The UN Security Council reforms were also pushed by the G4 nations, which we have read earlier. The four nations were Brazil, Argentina, India, and Japan. So India is also a member of the L69. Then we have Universal Postal Union or the UPU. The Department of Post India has released commemorative postal stamps to mark the 150th anniversary of the Universal Postal Union. So it was established as General Postal Union in 1874 through the Treaty of Berne. World Postal Day is celebrated on its anniversary. The UPO is a United Nations specialized agency. India Post, world's largest postal network, is also observing 170 years of its formation. So these are pretty old institutions. In the Five Eyes Alliance, the Five Eyes Alliance are for US, UK, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. It's a non-political intelligence oversight, review, and security entities of the Five Eye countries. And the World Summit on the Information of the World Summit on the Information Society, WSIS. Its headquarters are in Geneva. So like it was organized in two phases: the Genesis, Geneva in 2003, and Tunis in 2005. Then the OPEC Plus, Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries. Venezuela, as far as I remember, is the no. Venezuela is not. Vienna. What I'm saying. Vienna, the capital of Austria, is the headquarters. It was founded at the Baghdad Conference. Iran, Israel, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and Venezuela are the members. These were the members who actually founded the OPEC. The other members are Algeria, Equatorial Guinea, Gabon, Libya, Nigeria, Congo, UAE, Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and Venezuela. The non-OPEC members are Russia. Major is Russia, Mexico, Kazakhstan, Oman, Azerbaijan, Malaysia, Bahrain, South Sudan, Brunei, and Sudan. So they basically coordinate and unify the petroleum policies among themselves and try to monitor or try to secure stable prices for petroleum producers. Then the Asian Infrastructure Development Bank. This was like the headquarters is in China. China is the largest shareholder with 26.6%. So this was also a PYQ. So the in terms of the shareholders, China is the highest. Then we have India, and then Russia. So Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank was granted permanent observer status in the deliberations of the United Nations General Assembly and UN Economic and Social Council. So the Arab League. The 2024 Arab League Summit was held in Bahrain. This is basically an intergovernmental organization of Arab states in Middle East and North Africa. It was established after following the adoption of Alexandria Protocol. India is an observer status, has an observer status. So that was unit 1 of this document, and we have finished unit 1, and this was all for today. I'll see you guys in the next one where we discuss more about the different chapters for international relations. Till then, see ya, bye, and thank you for watching. All the best, just 15 days left.